So Cole, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. It's my honor to be here. Excited about the conversation.
Yeah, you know what? We were just not that long ago in Oklahoma and can't believe we didn't make that little drive. I mean, from Tulsa down to Oklahoma. We really should have come and visited you. We got to get back on a flight and spend some time with you.
Yeah, absolutely. We would have taken you out for a good steak.
Oh,
yeah,
there
see,
you go.
we got to go back to Oklahoma City just for the steak.
A little bit of steak bribe and I'm in, man. It didn't take much. Wait, how close are they? Oklahoma City and Tulsa?
Well, it depends on who you're talking to. If you're speeding, you can go about an hour and 15 minutes. Some people say an hour and a half. Yes, it's just short down. We got a turnpike between the two, and it's pretty straightforward.
We really should have, Kevin. What were we? That was a no-brainer, man.
Yeah.
We did in Cleveland. We did Cleveland to Erie, that little stint, which was a good little stint. But yeah, Cole, we're coming to see you this year for sure. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So for our listeners that are just tuning in, wondering what the heck we're talking about, steaks in Oklahoma City and whatnot. So Cole is actually one of our franchisees with Red Barn Homebuyers. And he's been with us how long? When did you come on?
I think officially came on in February of this year.
In February. So we're maybe 6 months in, something like that.
6 months in. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's cool, one of the reasons we wanted to bring you on, Cole, is I love your story. You've got a really very cool backstory, having been in ministry and then actually starting another business, which was, construction. And then what it was like to transition that construction business and that team into real estate investing and what that looked like. But take us back, man. When did it all start? How did this story begin for you guys?
Yeah. So if I go back to the very beginning of the journey into being an entrepreneur, 2018, my wife on staff at a church for about 12 years, just hit a rock bottom place financially. I've always been a sort of a side hustle kind of guy. I've always been able to just buy and sell cars, do odds and end jobs and make money just to make ends meet. Being a pastor in ministry, often we don't make a ton of money, and I wanted to provide well for my family. 2018 in November, we had an absolute crisis of finances and hit what I would call rock bottom for us. We wouldn't have had another hiccup in our budget would have train wrecked us. And my wife and I just started praying and asking God, like, what do you want us to do? I was flipping cars up until that point, and it just dried up. I couldn't sell a car to save my life. We had just moved into a house. We were classic house poor. We basically could barely afford the mortgage and had nothing in it. But when we had moved in, I had gotten some prices on painting because in my world, in my opinion, painting's the worst thing you can do. It is awful and I hate it. And my wife was like, I want to paint the house. And I'm like, I don't. And I knew that her painting the house meant I painted the house.
Yep.
And I knew how that connected. We're married. We know. So I started getting some paint bids and they came back at numbers. I'm like, okay, that's a pretty good industry to be in. I hate painting, but there's some money there. Cause I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I know how to do math. And so I was looking at what these guys were charging and how you could do it. But I filed it away. We didn't get the house painted. It got to November. And I remember we hit, like I said, rock bottom, and I was asking God what to do. And there was I had managed our facilities at our church for about 10 years. And in that time, got to know a bunch of subcontractors because we have a large facility and just, HVAC guys, painters, carpet, whatever. And I remember God spoke to me and he said, what's in your hand? And I was like, well, I know how to do construction stuff, And so I got on Google Images. I downloaded a picture of somebody's house being painted. I posted it on Facebook and Marketplace and said, unexpected opening next week. Painting houses, doing bids. And I got a bid. And I went in there with the idea of, I'm going to get this bid. I'm going to come in low and I'm going to win this. And I did. We painted a house. Happy customer, a little bit extra money in my pocket. And I'm like, I'm going to do that again. We were coming up in the holidays. So I started doing Christmas lights because we had done Christmas lights for years, made good money doing that. Then we got to January and it's like, I got to keep something going. Started doing sheetrock repairs and ceiling fan hangings. I'd post them on Facebook, handyman services. What do you need? And I would just go do these little jobs. I got a guy with me helping me. And before you know it, we're getting some momentum. We got to the halfway through that year and I was able to make a connection with Starbucks. And we started doing retail maintenance for Starbucks, turned to Walgreens, it turned to Barnes & Noble. Before you know it, we were unclogging toilets. We were not doing anything major, but we were getting on job sites. And it just kept growing. Meanwhile, I'm still on staff at the church full time. And so this is I'm running a business now. The business is running in my off time, but I got one employee. So just fast forward, that was 2018, 19, 20. We just kept experiencing growth. Obviously, the pandemic hit. and things sort of went crazy in the construction industry in a good way for us. We started getting more business. People were getting stimulus checks, and they're sitting at home and they're wanting to remodel. We started getting into that.
Yep.
2021, I remember God really just spoke to Eva and I's heart and said, this is about to be an explosive year. And this is going to be the biggest year you've had. And the people connected to you are going to be blessed. And I remember talking to Eva about it. And she says, what do you think? I said, really, I don't have time to be explosive. Like I'm maxed to the gill now. I said, or God's changing strategy, and I can accept that. Through a few different conversations with people, flip house fell in my lap. I'd never flipped a house, fell in my lap, and we did it, and we made money on it. And so then we had to wait till we sold it to get another one. But then I had a little bit of money to get two, and before you know it, we're flipping houses, and we're still keeping retail, and we're sort of balancing the two.
And you're working full time at the church.
Still working full time at the church. So
spinning a lot of plates there.
Oh my gosh, it was spinning plates everywhere, and God's grace was with us, and we were doing well. But I did feel like God was calling us to do business better, and for the values and purposes that we believe to be helping people, helping. Our flip house turned into we were doing some hard ones, and I felt like we were restoring our city, and I felt like we were giving people a good house, and we're doing it right. I deal with things like, I don't want to sell somebody a home and it be low quality, and they're putting their life savings into it. And so we started like living by that conviction and getting it into a team and our subcontractors. But we were having trouble with getting past that 1-2 houses at a time, the cash flow, all of that. And then in November of 22, ran across you guys at Red Barn and began a conversation, I believe in December, connected to Kevin. And I remember Kevin asked me a question. He said, he just did just like, you're flipping houses. What do you need us for? And the whole thing was, I want to do it better and I want to scale. And I believe you guys can help me do that because y'all know what you're doing. And February we signed on, and it was like, we have ramped up tremendously since February. And that's even maybe an understatement, to the point that I'm letting go of a lot of that peripheral stuff, and flip houses is our focus. And it's jacking our team up. Everybody's excited here. And it's been really cool to watch, like, just deals come and conversations come and networking come, learning how to do private funding. So anyways, that's sort of the short, long story.
So tell us maybe about that transition. You were in for home flipping, you've done a lot of different things. Talk to us a little bit about the transition coming into home buyers, Red Barn Homebuyers, and then launching, within the franchise.
Yeah. It's, like, you can teach yourself how to do something and make a bunch of mistakes. And quite honestly, I wish I had Red Barn Homebuyers before that first flip, because of that reason, because there was a lot of stuff that we were doing and it was working, but it wasn't working well. Just the way processes and scheduling and just all of that happened on the actual construction side, all the way to the deal hunting. I went through this phase back in early 22 to where I started doing my own skip tracing and lead buying and all that. And it was just like it was like a dead end road, because I'm now the cold caller and trying to, you're getting hung up on and all that. So the leads transition into that was super helpful. It took a lot of pressure off. And then even the vendors that came alongside, we were doing a lot of shopping at one home improvement store, and just got handed the blessing of this crazy amount of deals and discounts at Lowe's. And that's been a blessing. And it's just been, it's the transition took about 2 months to shift some of our mindsets. We got our teams trained, started watching the videos that taught us how to be more efficient, but it was an easy transition, but it had to be intentional, and we did it intentionally.
It's kind of funny because I do remember in those conversations, you saying straight up, I'm a Home Depot guy. we'll go ahead and name names. I was like, great. Hey, you can keep shopping at Home Depot. I think you negotiated some good deals there, right? And you felt really great about it. I was like, that's, you don't have to use Lowe's. That's right. But we do have a pretty good program with, a national program with Lowe's. And I didn't think but you made the switch. It made sense for you.
Yeah, it did. We got put in, and I don't know that everybody can do this, but we got put into the state pro manager's managed account. We're one of his 35 accounts. And I can text my guy, and order will show up tomorrow. I don't even have to go to the store. So it's pretty awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Talk to us for a minute about when you started flipping houses, and you flipped a couple here and there, and there were some pain points associated with finding houses, because what we find a lot of our interviewees that come in and want a franchise, they say I flipped a house before, or I flipped 2 houses, I flipped 3 houses. And that does not necessarily make you a house flipper, right? Because that's not a bit, flipping 1, 2, or 3 houses does not make you. And where most people struggle is they fell into those houses or they got them on the MLS, but they can't scale that business. And
Right.
that's really where we try to, bridge that gap for people is, okay, let's take you from having flipped a house or 2 to building a business of flipping houses. And what does that look like? So what did that look like from you guys finding, and how did you fall into a couple of those first houses, and then what's it been like now scaling into doing it on the regular?
Yeah, absolutely. And just exactly what you said is exactly how it was for us. I was just beating doors down. I mean, I spent most of my time doing that to find maybe one lead, and then it'd be a dead end. Our first house was MLS. Our second house was MLS. Our third house came through a wholesaler in town that took his money out for sure. And I mean, he stripped it of almost all equity. And so that was a hard one to make money on. It was just tough because when for me, being a Christian, a pastor, I understand the power of partnership. To be able to say, hey, I have my strengths and you have your strengths, and I don't need to make your strengths my strengths. I need to find people with my weaknesses that are strong for them and work together. And the thing Red Barn did for us was that, because I quit beating the streets for leads and leads dumped to me. And that makes it a lot easier because number one, we were cold calling. Now we're warm or hot calling. I mean, these people have just recently told us, well, I want to sell my house. And so I'm able to work that lead a little bit differently. And that's helped us quite a bit, to the fact that even today, I have so many deals in my Red Barn Central right now that I'm trying to work through them. I'm just being very honest with the big guys upstairs, right? It is so many deals. I'm like, how do I work through this? So I'm meeting with a local wholesaler today, and I'm going, I got some deals listed out on a piece of paper, and I'm gonna work through them and say, hey man, can you help me move these? Because there's just so many. It's repositioned us from being on the, like, almost at the bottom trying to find leads, to saying, hey guys, all y'all in Oklahoma City, I got leads. Your house.
Yep.
So
That's great. It's a good problem to have. How do you keep up with all the leads? But it's the thing about leads is they require attention and nurturing. And when you start running out of time, you feel that squeeze, you feel that pressure. I'm paying for these, I'm getting these great leads. There's all these opportunities out there. And if I'm not working them effectively, I know I'm missing out. And so you're already feeling that sort of I'm missing out pressure. And so kudos to you for filling that gap. I mean, there's nothing wrong with co-wholesaling. I think it's a great idea. You get backed up, find another good wholesaler that you like and trust, and start sending in the deals and split the profits, figure out how to make it work. Either that or staff up. It's one or the other, but there's nothing wrong with partnering with somebody else local in your market.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is just being creative, right? I mean, sometimes you're going to flip, sometimes you're going to do wholesale. We've got folks doing novations now. It's using those tools, those investment tools for each deal based on, what makes the most sense. You just did a novation, didn't you? Accidentally?
Accidental novation. I had to call the GM of Red Barn last week and say, hey, I think I just accidentally did a novation, so I need to toss it into Red Barn, because, keep in mind, we were contractors. So I was doing remodels for customers. And I had customers that were longtime customers of ours. And I had a customer call me and say, hey, I got a house. I want to put it on the market. They're in their 80s. And they said, we don't have time to GC it ourselves. We could, but we don't have time to. And don't really have the energy or want to. So what if you came in, did the remodel, you float the remodel. And it was a low end, it was not a very expensive remodel, because it's a very nice house. You come and do the remodel, we'll list it, and then we'll split profits, plus you get your money back. And I was like, you know what? I'm good with that. So we did that, and then it's going on the market. Actually, I believe it hit the market soft last week, but it officially hits the market with a realtor today.
Awesome.
And we'll get it sold and make a good profit. And it was a 4-week that I spent in there. And so, I called Kenner. Like, I think I just accidentally did the novation. I need to make sure I run it through the books right. But
that's hilarious. Oh my gosh, that's stupid. Well, you definitely have an advantage of just having the background in construction, because you can quickly look at a deal and assess it, and then decide whether to take it or not. Are you guys still taking on any just retail construction work, or has your entire business shifted over? What does that look like today?
It's almost completely shifted over. We don't do any retail maintenance anymore. And we're doing a few different renovation projects for customers, but we will only take large ones now.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the great benefits that's been a huge blessing of mine from Red Barn is a weekly coaching call that I get, and it's with Dave. And Dave has been a godsend for me. And even talking about the Red Barn days of renovations and how you guys worked that in years ago, he sort of helped me think through in this transition into full flipping, how to utilize renovations as maybe just helping cash flow during the process, keeping my guys busy. So we're doing we're doing a couple renovations.
Yep.
But they're large scale. So I'm not taking bathroom remodels anymore.
Yep. Yeah. It makes sense to do that It's like you just said. I mean, if you're still building a fledgling flipping business, still brand spanking new, and your pipeline's going to grow, and you're going to get to where you're doing 5, 6, 7 houses at a time. I already know you will. But in the meantime, to bridge that gap, you're having to, generate some cash flow through just renovations, but you probably already see that light at the end of the tunnel. Yes. Just to get out of because renovation is a whole other animal. It is just another beast. And when you see that you don't have to have customers and clients and you can be your own client, it's like, get me there as fast as I can. Right.
That's right. I'm the customer for my subs, right? Like,
yes.
And I'm an easier customer to handle.
You're a way easier customer, and you don't live in the home, and you don't have all these really strong opinions about who should be there when. And
That's right. That's right.
Renovating is a tough business, man.
It is. And it was a blessing for so long. But I'm also celebrating.
Sure.
So you are scaling up your home buyers, right? Doing flips, real estate investing. Are you able to continue to do full-time ministry as a pastor as well? I mean,
a great question and cool. This is what I've loved. And in early 22, I was able to go to my senior pastor and say to him, and like I said, late middle 22, he had just taken the pastorate, and I was able to say, Pastor Jordan, like, you're one of my good friends. This church is top priority. In fact, God spoke to me about 10 years ago, and he said, I will cause your life to be blessed as long as you keep the kingdom of God first. And I told him, I said, I don't need a paycheck anymore. Our business is doing so great. And we had scaled down to minimal. Mm-hmm. I said, but I don't want to back out of my contribution at this church. In fact, this is a passion of mine. So around that same time, he invited us to sit on the executive and vision team. But I do so now as a non-compensated employee. So I go to staff meetings every week. I'm still sitting in the high-level meetings with him, helping set vision for our church, direction for our church. I'm on the preaching rotation. And for most of our congregation, they wouldn't even know that I'm not what I was. But I'm able to do it now from an area of heart contribution, saying, no, I really want to contribute to the ministry here at the gate. And I love my church, and I love my people. I don't need money from you guys. So let me do it for free. And he was like, deal.
Yeah, he didn't think twice about
that. So, and same for my wife. She was on staff as well. And we both were able to come off of payroll and just get that back to the church.
That's great. You talk about getting rid of the renovation, it allows you to kind of focus in those areas that you have passion for, invest in, but it's enabling you in ways that maybe you didn't have before, right?
That's right. That's right. And I've loved it. And, it's just been the faithfulness of God. And then just through prayerful connections, like the one with Red Barn. So that was one of the reasons when I heard that, Kevin, you were pastor and love God and ministry, and Ken's a strong Christian. I was like, this is the kind of partnerships I want.
Yeah.
Those kind of connections.
Different people have different whys. Why is it that you're doing this? And I think one of the things I've discovered is that, building wealth for the future, having a revenue stream enables you to do things that maybe you wouldn't have been able to do if you were, doing those passion projects as a vocation. All of a sudden this enables you to do things, have freedom for your why in ways that, I'm not just doing this for a paycheck. I'm doing this because I'm able to, out of the abundance of time and resources I have in my life now.
That's right. I feel like one of the scriptures of my life is God is able to do exceedingly abundantly beyond all I can ask or think, according to all I can ask or imagine. It's the scripture on the back of my truck on my license plate, Ephesians 3:20. And I just watch God just continuously increase our life beyond anything we could have ever imagined. And like the Abrahamic covenant is, I'm blessed to be a blessing. And like you just said, if I can build wealth in my life, I can be more of a blessing to the world around me. And that goes for us, to our subcontractors, our employees, the people that's going to buy a house from us. We pray over every house that we put on the market, believing that God's going to bless those people that live there. So yeah, it's fun.
That's great. Hey, can you think of one particular deal as you think, you talk about being a blessing to the folks that you buy a house from, or you sell to, can you think of one in particular that maybe, was meaningful for you as you kind of walk through that process?
So our first deal, actually, we're calling it, it's a chocolate brown house. It's hideous. We're in it right now, renovating it. It had sat on the market for 6 months in a town in Oklahoma that is not, people are fighting over houses. It's sort of middle, higher upper income town, and people don't flip in this town. It's a town I live in, Piedmont. So I was able to analyze it. I didn't get it through a lead, but I was able to use Dave and Tracy and a few people to really analyze this deal. And I'm like, why is this sitting on the market? And it was a true foreclosure, bank owned. And I couldn't figure out why flippers wasn't jumping on it. Like, there's something here, right? I kept going and looking at it. They were wanting 130,000 for it. And in this town, that is peanuts. That's beans. That's nothing. And what I've been looking at the deal, Dave and I remember it was a Saturday morning, and he took a cell phone call with me because I texted him and said, I got to talk about this deal. And Saturday morning, he hopped up, we took a call, and I'm sitting at my desk and we're looking at the Google map. And we realized, and nobody realized this because it wasn't advertised. The bank just listed it, for sale. They don't put any description, that it was this third of an acre with the house on it. And next to it was a third of an acre that was empty, and that house on that property was together, and everybody missed that. And the amazing part of that is that acre beside it's worth 80,000, just sitting as an empty lot. The house renovated will be worth 250 when it's fully renovated. So that's a $350,000 property that they only want 130 for, and it's going to take me 80 to do. And then I lowballed them at 85,000. And because of the fact that it sat, they said, hey, I got to get it to it. That banker said we need it at 100. So $100,000 flat. And was able to get a deal that we're renovating now. Actually, I'm working on the parcel being split now, so I can sell the lot off beside it. And we'll end up being 180 in, 190 with holding cost. But we're going to walk away with, close to 330,000. I mean, that's a six-figure deal. And then I funded it with Red Lending and closed on it in like 14 days. And they said that took too long. She told me, she said, it'll be 7 days next time. So it was just such an easy, smooth deal with a lot of me.
That's amazing. Those are some of my favorite deals. And it's where we don't flip a lot of houses anymore. We're focused on our franchisees, but deals fall in our lap. And we do have a new construction team. And so a lot of the times we source our new construction lots in similar scenarios where we extract value because there's additional land associated with the property. In your case, it was a double lot. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. But sometimes it's like 4 acres or 5 acres. And when you can peel out the house, even if you don't make a dime on the house, but you get all the money, all the profit in the land itself, people forget that it's like parting out a car. A beater's not worth anything, but you take the junkyard and you start selling the parts, it becomes worth a heck of a lot more. It's the same thing with houses and land. There's so much opportunity to extract value out of extra land. Because once you get beyond 2 acres, that 3rd acre, that 4th acre, nobody really, it's like, okay, now I got 4 acres. What am I going to do with the extra 2 acres? Nothing. But if you separate it, there's so much value there. So with you having the construction background, I'm curious, are you just going to sell the lot, or is there any inclination to build on it?
I mean, I need advice on that. I mean, I'm sort of looking like that. It's the 2 properties behind it are duplexes, and I'm like, should I? I'm cool with, I'm a risk taker, so. But I'm thinking of maybe doing a duplex on it, selling it outright. I don't know. I'm trying. Give me some thoughts when you can, maybe later.
Wow. We need to circle up on that. Man, if you can get multifamily, if it's zoned, or you can get the zoning in multifamily and do a duplex on it, heck yeah.
It backs up to 2 duplexes that are brand new builds.
Oh my gosh.
The zoning won't be a problem.
Wow. What a killer deal, man. Good for you for seeing a house that's sitting there too and being like, let me just inquire. Let me dig a little bit deeper. And that's usually when you find the deals. You just, something, catches your eye and you dig a little deeper, and then all of a sudden you find the opportunity.
Yeah. And just think, I mean, that's why Dave and Tracy both helped me analyze it. Was so valuable because in the past, you get into this overthinking deal, and I was just figuring it out on my own, and I didn't have help. I didn't have anybody to bounce it off of besides my internal circle. Right. And that's like, I was able to talk to people that do this and see, man, there's a lot here. So let's just pull it. We'll pull the trigger.
Yep. Yeah. Killer. Love it. Yeah. So you're 6 months in with Red Barn Homebuyers. Obviously, you got lots of amazing things going on. What would you say to somebody who's on the outside looking in and analyzing the opportunity, or thinking, man, I would love to transition my business or leave my job and do this full time? What would you tell somebody that's kind of on the fence about it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's an easy one for me. And I've done a few, I talked to a few of the people that are interested for you guys occasionally. I got a call today with somebody. And what I tell people is this: there's a lot of opportunities to flip houses out there. And a lot of people say they'll help you get coaching programs. You can pay $20,000 to get into somebody's coaching program, and they'll give you some advice, some resources. But the one thing that stood out to me about Red Barn was that I know it's simple, but it was it for me, is the way you guys make money with us is directly tied to my success. It's not me paying you a fee for a class. It's not me, hey, I get time and you can give me some advice. No, it's like, hey, Red Barn Homebuyers ain't gonna make money if you don't do a deal, because you make money in the deal. And I'm like, you guys truly are taking the partnership method to where your success lies inside of my success. And that was it. That was a game changer for me, because a lot of people, like I said, there's a lot of programs out there. And so by being able to take that and say, hey, you guys walked me through this and given me all these resources so I can find the deal with you. I can negotiate the deal with your help. I can fund the deal with your help. I can use the resources on renovating the deal with your help. I can call, Dave called me right before this call and said, hey, if you need anything this week, give me a call, right? I got the resources at my fingertips to pull it off. We had experience. There's a lot of people getting in this business that don't. But if you got the guts, the work ethic, and the right partnership, you can do really well in this business.
Yeah.
And I think on our side, we have a lot of people. Right now we got 300 folks on any given month expressing interest, and we're choosy. This month we'll sign up, between 5 and 6. But when you get to the finish line, it's for us on our side, it's because we have confidence. Like with you and Eva, it was like, you're going to be successful. Like you're going, if we put our system in place and you follow it and we do well, we will do well. This will be successful. And so for us, once you get to the finish line, for those on the outside looking in, if we get to the finish line, it's because we really believe and have confidence that together we can have a ton of success. It's not just hey, let me sell you goods and services and move on to the next person. It's like, no, this is a partnership for years and years and years. And we choose you. Like, we choose you because we really think you can be successful. And you guys are a great example of that. Just a phenomenal example of what can be done in Oklahoma City, right? What a great market to do it together in.
Absolutely. We're loving it. And I appreciate you saying that. And I felt like that. We felt a heart connection, like you guys believed in us. And, and you know what? We're seeing the results of it.
I just think, to be able to have this conversation again in a year, and then in 5 years, and then 10 years. I can't wait in 10 years to come back and, have you on again and be like, okay, so tell us about your life 10 years in.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be awesome. We're going to have fun doing it. Got a lot of life ahead of us.
Heck yeah. Well, we're looking forward to having you guys out here in Woodstock next month for our summit. Get to meet you guys in person and hang out and get to hang out with some of the other franchisees. I know you guys are going to, because again, our culture it's pretty amazing, the culture that we're building with these franchisees. And I know you're going to hit it off with a lot of our folks that come. That's what we really want. We want to see you guys start to mesh and help each other out. And folks like yourself rising to the top is what it's about for us.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Awesome. We're excited to get it. Love Atlanta. So we're going to hop on a plane and come hang out.
There it is. Cole, man, thanks so much for coming on and hanging out with us. We really appreciate it, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you. It was an honor.